So I will quote from David Fincher as he spoke about his film, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Some people go to the movies to be reminded that everything is okay. I don't make those kinds of movies. That, to me, is a lie. I've actually watched all of David Fincher's films ever as long as I can. I've watched all of David Fincher's films, and I love the man. He is truly a pioneer in filmmaking today. He actually is one of few people who have inspired me to work in movies, it means a lot. So I constantly pick his brain in interviews and behind-the-scenes footage of his movies. So today, I actually want to tell you 3 ways David Fincher has impacted films in our generation. Firstly, he was practically raised to make movies. At the age of 8, he got a Super 8 camera for his birthday from his parents. And he started creating stuff, he started playing with it and making lots of little films, and I've never seen them and I wish I could. So he was actually neighbors with George Lucas as a teenager. And if you guys don't know who George Lucas is, he is the creator of Star Wars and Indiana Jones. So he's very iconic in movies. And he actually got a job working with George Lucas's special effects company called IGM, which is called Industrial Lights and Magic. He worked with them for a few years, and then later he first started out small in the 80s, and he directed TV commercials, propaganda films, and music videos. So secondly, he's very good at creating darkly menacing films, which is hard to do. So what makes him so unique is that he has such a signature style in all of his films. And Gillian Flynn, who actually worked with David Fincher in the film Gone Girl, she wrote the book and the screenplay for the movie. He loves to dissect what's behind people's surfaces and what's underneath, the psychology. He actually found his inspiration to create his psychological thrillers of his characters from his mother, who was a mental health nurse, and his father, who was a writer. And lastly, he is a very, very, very control freak. So lastly, he is a perfectionist. He literally is the biggest control freak that I think I've ever seen existing in films today. On average, producers claim that when David shoots a scene, he does about 27 takes. Most directors do around 5 to 10. Yikes. Chris Duckman, who actually is a movie reviewer on YouTube and is one of my buddies, he says there's a shot where Jake Gyllenhaal tosses a notebook onto a car seat. He had him do that one tiny little movement so many times. He is a perfectionist. And David Fincher actually has worked with the same team of cinematographers, editors, composers, production designers, and casting directors ever since he started making movies in the 90s, which all are extremely talented on their own, but as a team, they create magic. I actually saw a film of his a few years ago called Seven, and it has Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman in it, and they are homicide investigators investigating these 7 murders that are all the 7 deadly sins, and the end of the film concluded and twisted and turned in a way that had my stomach in knots. I could not breathe. I was shaking, crying. I never have gotten a reaction out of a movie or anything. I've never gotten a reaction out of any movie like that before. And it highly got to me. It got to me in a way that made my blood, it made my blood pump. It made me gasp. It was one of those movies that changed how I viewed films, and it changed how powerful they can truly be to a person. And I never knew someone could pull me into a movie to this dimension. And after that, I fell in love with him, and I said, I want to work in movies. He's one of those people that has changed how I view films today. And I highly think he is so underrated as a director. He deserves more credit than he's given. So, in conclusion, I actually want to say that David Fincher has made many audiences, critics, and movie makers today swoon in awe. He's a visionary director and creates very distinct characters that you love, hate, or both. I will always cherish the way he makes films. Thank you for listening to my speech.